So, you want to play the medium class. Maybe it's because you saw how some of the top players play medium and decided that you want to take your gameplay to that level. Or maybe you've gotten addicted to the movement that the zip line and the jump pad provide you. Or maybe you just saw the AK-47 and decided, yep, this is the class. It's been decided. Whatever the case may be, you've come to the right place. With this video, I'll be giving you all the information that you need so that you can stop your gameplay from looking like this.
Here, let me get this defib off real quick. Jump pad. There's a guy. Turret out. You're done for, buddy. There's two. What the? There's two of them. That's not fair.
As a medium, you are playing one of the most versatile classes in the game. You're good on attack, defense, and support. But with these advantages comes a large skill gap that you need to be aware of when you pick this character. So to help you climb that skill gap, I'm going to be providing a bunch of tips for every medium specialization throughout this video, as well as tips for medium class as a whole. And with all that being said, let's get started. So the very first thing that I'm going to do here is put down this jump pad for my team right here, which allows me, and in particular my heavy teammate, to get very aggressive with the enemy team. I noticed that my heavy's health bar is getting kind of low, and at this time I take a ton of damage, so I reposition and heal my heavy so he can take the fight instead. I'm also going to do a quick defib on the heavy teammate, which is just going to give us a lot more certainty in being able to close out this fight. But something that I've noticed is that there are a lot of people who use defibs at really bad times. So I'm going to quickly explain when you should defib and when you should not. This is when it's okay to defib. If you can gain numbers advantage on the enemy team, or at least equal out your team numbers, to stall a cash out and divert attention in emergencies, and to quickly reset if you expect a third party. But there are many times when you should not defib. Some of these are, if someone is already rezzing, if you are unlikely to win the fight, even with the defib. An instance of this would be if you are in a 1v3 and everybody is at half or more health. If you have to die for the res. In some cases, this one is okay, but 95% of the time, dying to get a defib off is a really bad idea. And if you are in no danger and you can save it for later. Treat your defib like a valuable commodity. Do not waste it. So now that I've discussed when you should and shouldn't defib, let's go back to the gameplay examples. After we've secured this cash box, it's time to put our movement to use again. Taking height is very important in this game because if you don't have it, someone else will. And medium's utility lets you get that height advantage very fast. I heard some enemy footsteps, so I decided to ping wildly to let my team know to group up. If you are playing solo queue and something important like this is happening, please use your ping button, as it can really be the difference between you winning that fight and you losing that fight. Now, some of you may have noticed that we are leaving this cash out before it's completed. We are doing this because this cash out is honestly almost done, and it's highly unlikely that a team steals during this time. And before this, I had checked the scoreboard, and I had seen that all of the teams were actually doing damage, which means that they are all fighting over the cash out, more than likely. However, this is where I almost make a crucial mistake, not playing with my team. It's important to play by your team when you are a medium or a heavy, but especially as a heal beam. When I realize my mistake, I immediately go to regroup with my heavy, who can hopefully protect me. My heavy decided to dome shield in and go for the cash out, but instead of healing him the whole time, like a lot of mediums would, I instead try to kill the people shooting at him. There's a time and a place for healing, but if you can outright kill an opponent, it's better to do that instead of just healing them and hoping that they survive. After I deposited this cash out, I noticed that D already has a fair bit of progress on it, and it's close by. That means there is the potential for us to be able to take both cash outs, and if we could pull that off, that would be a huge advantage. But before I push in, I try to get some opening damage from long range and wait for my heavy to push in ahead of me. When you're the heal beam medium, you want to try to be the last one alive as often as possible. As he takes the cash out, I'm going to watch to make sure that nobody tries to kill him while he takes it once again. This medium shows up near the end of the steal, but because the cash out is nearly stolen, I go to heal instead of kill. After I whiff some really easy shots here, I go to defib the heavy in case of a third party. Now here is a very important decision-making moment. When I go over to push up on this cash box, I notice that the timer is nearly up and both of my teammates are busy fighting. So if we want to take this box, I have to act now. Luckily, my teammates were able to body block for me, and we were able to take it. So while you as a heal beam medium probably shouldn't be the one taking the cash box, in certain niche scenarios like this, you just might have to do it anyways. Also, if this video has been helpful, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help me out a ton. And if you like the sound of mostly weekly finals videos, consider subscribing. It's okay, I can wait. Okay, I'm done now. Let's get back to the video. In this game, I'm in a triple medium team and I'm playing with Dematerializer. With DMAT, you can afford to play a little bit more aggressively and a little bit more like a light player because you don't have to worry about healing your teammates. So I'm going to be pretty front and center in a lot of these fights. I see that the heavy has put up a barricade and is playing behind it, so I decide to pressure him with the DMAT. My teammate manages to take down the heavy, but then goes down. But instead of getting the Defib res, I leave that to the other more support-focused medium in my team and try to go and finish off the light. Once again, I'm going to give my team a little bit of movement so we can deposit the cash box faster, and then we're going to take height. It's actually a much better idea to not hold the cash box on the moving platform, but instead to follow it around from high ground if you get this specific event. Instead of chasing this team across and trying to kill them, we are going to take this zipline all the way to the top of apartments where we will be able to hold a much better position and can use our movement gadgets to quickly rotate to the platform if necessary. If this team doesn't want to get jump padded on top of, they're going to have to challenge us while we have the positioning advantage. At this point, I go in to get aggressive with my DMAT and get their attention and some opening damage, but then I rotate out with my jump pad and let my teammates clean up. After we finish this fight, we're going to use the zipline to once again rotate over to the next building and be ready for another fight if necessary. And sure enough, pink team is going for the cash out station, so I decide to drop down and keep them from stealing the cash out, even if it means that I end up dying. I managed to stop them from stealing with my aggressive play, and while they are focused on dealing with me, my teammates are able to get some pretty free damage on them. So this next engagement is a really good example of how you should play DMAT around cash out. A lot of DMAT players would like to drop the cash out immediately upon depositing the cash box, but this isn't a great idea. Here I'm going to hold the high ground with the rest of my team to try and stop the enemy before they even reach the cash out. Here, by playing below the cash out instead of above it, I can drop it down and stall for longer, and possibly isolate a 3v1 if I also manage to get one of the opponents. Then me and my team are going to rotate to the floor below again to do the exact same thing. Here, pink team finds us and takes a fight, but because we aren't playing in the room with the cash box, we are limiting our chances of being attacked by a third party. After I whiff some of my shots, I go and defib my teammate instead of slow resing, because I hear footsteps and I expect that I will need to drop the cash out immediately. Some other ways that you can use the DMAT is by playing very aggressively with it and cutting off opponents who might be running away from you. At the time of recording this video, turret is easily the worst specialization you can use for medium, unless you play terminal attack. However, if you still want to use it, I do have a few tips for you on how you can maximize your turret efficiency. Be careful about some of the materials that you place your turrets on. For instance, these ceilings on Soul tend to break really easily, and if your turret falls down from them, it's pretty much useless. A lot of players expect you to place your turrets near the cash out, but if you do this too much, it can become predictable and your turrets lose a lot of their value. Fix it up once in a while by placing it in an area away from the cash out, where you can either fall back to or play from to catch the enemy by surprise. Another example of good turret placement is this clip right here, where I placed it in a space that will cover either staircase from the enemy that they could push up from. Once the turret does some opening damage, I engage the enemy while they are distracted to get a quick kill. I also tend to notice a lot of turret medium players like to sit by their turret at all times. You don't need to do this, and this actually limits you a lot. Don't be afraid to push enemies, and then when they chase you, go run back to where your turret is placed to make them really choose between whether they want to keep pushing you or if they want to back up and not deal with that turret. Something else that I do to mix things up as well is placing my turret in one area for the first fight at a cash out and then moving it after that fight is finished to be much closer to the cash out. This usually really catches my opponents off guard and can be a great way to mix up your strategy. But besides these tips, just play turret medium in a similar way to the Dematerializer medium and you should be fine. And those are a bunch of ways that you can be a better medium player. Now, all of these things can be quite a lot to take in, so if you feel overwhelmed by all this information, just try focusing on one thing at a time until you've mastered that, and then move on to the next thing. I really hope that this video was helpful and entertaining, and if it was, consider giving it a like as it really does help out the channel, and consider subscribing for mostly weekly videos on the finals. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.